This is the Creative Download, hosted by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Nettleton. Created by creatives to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity.
Well, welcome to the show. Again, it's episode 3. Happy Friday. I'm Christy Bruneau. I am a singer-songwriter, a script writer, and also a former hip-hop dancer. Still wannabe backup dancer on the Grammys, or maybe even like in like Bruno Mars's show or something. I mean, that's like really crazy fun. But
hey, Bruno, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this, we have a backup dancer for you. Okay.
Yes.
She's fantastic. She's great. So last week we did, things on, or talked about, clearing the channel. And then what do you do once that channel, kind of starts clearing up? What do you do with that creative download?
Yeah.
So, which is so funny because I was thinking that while you were talking about teaching.
Yes.
And that creative download is hitting you while you're with your students, while you're helping them be creative, and it's inspiring you, which is just so cool.
Yeah.
So one thing we wanted to share was, again, thank you guys so much for listening. We're so pumped. Like, it's kind of neat because we get to see, in our podcast hosting site, Buzzsprout. And again, we're not, what's the word? Why am I blanking on what word that is?
We're just
sponsored.
Here to
we're not sponsored
You're not
by them.
sponsored. We have a sponsor today, but it's a supportive sponsor we'll share later. But
yes, but so we're not sponsored by Buzzsprout, but I'm very happy. We're very happy with how it's all laid out. So our website is through them, but we can see our stats. So that we have had 43 downloads of between the first and second episodes, you guys.
So happy about that.
So that's so encouraging. And so we're just, we just wanted to share that with you. We also did get some fan mail, and I wanted to let you know, we if you do it through the website, which is totally fine, it says text us. We won't be able to respond directly there, but we will give a shout out, in the episodes as we can when we do, if we do get mail that way.
Yeah.
But you can also email us at hello at thecreativedownloadpodcast.com.
Great.
Again, that's hello at thecreativedownloadpodcast.com. Sorry for the long name. Thecreativedownload.com was taken.
Yes.
So those are some ways you can get in touch with us. We do have our social pages set up now. So we've got Facebook and Instagram, and it's the Creative Download Podcast for both. That's our username. So we're going to be trying to keep those updated. Oh, and YouTube is coming.
That's coming. So you can message us on, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, or send an email. I'd love it. We'd love to be able to answer some questions on the shows. So
and tell us what what are some of the things that you're struggling with, or maybe some breakthroughs you've had. We'd love to share your stories on here. So,
or maybe what you would like to be doing that you're not doing yet. I would love
we really want to know that. Yeah, we really want to know that. On that note, I found this was just too cool to me. I literally saw this yesterday, and how perfect is this? So I saw it on Facebook. I did share it I think I shared it to our Facebook page. I need to share it to our Instagram as well, so y'all can see it. This was just really cool. I've heard about a lot of these. I'm looking over here at my other screen because I've got it all listed up there. It's actors and actresses that are very well known. I think most of them are. There's a couple of them. Like, there's another famous artist in there. So it's not just actors and actresses, it's artists. That, it talks about where they were before they quote unquote became who they are now.
Yes.
Like Tina Fey, she was working at the YMCA when she was 23.
Yeah.
We know about Oprah, but she was fired from her first reporting job.
Yeah.
I think I'd heard that one before. And I certainly won't read through all these. I just found
it fascinating. Morgan Freeman? His was a good one. He's like 52.
So good.
I think, right?
When he was 52.
Acting. Yeah.
Well, he was 52 when he got his first major role.
So he was probably 52. Acting a lot before then. Yeah.
52. So talk about, it's never too late. Like, this list was really inspiring to me. Yes. I'll share one more just because I love him dearly. I wish he was still with us. But Alan Rickman, he actually was a graphic designer before he became an actor, and he started acting at 42.
Yes.
And look how successful his career was, and if he was still with us, he'd be killing. Well, that's not a good word, killing it. But he would, he would be killing it. Because he's fantastic, and he started at 42. I just find that amazing.
Yeah.
I selfishly, I find it amazing for my husband too, because my husband would love to be an actor. And so I
Yeah.
sent this to him because I was like, don't give up. Like, you just never know. It may just not be the right time yet, you know?
And then going back to like in the first beginning episode, like meet yourself where you're at, right?
Yes.
So whatever it is that you're thinking about that you're interested in doing, or you've always thought in the back of your head, I would always love to do that. It's like
Yes.
start where you're at, so maybe
Yes.
maybe you haven't done any kind of like theater or acting since high school, or maybe even
Right.
younger than that when you were
Right.
little. And then you decide, I really want to try that again. Well, go to a community college, like
Yep.
take a class. That's what
Yeah.
I did with singing. I
Yeah.
decided when I realized I really want to try singing, I took a class at the San Diego City Community College, and she was an opera singer. And I learned about, using your voice as an instrument and how to
Yeah.
really work that out and how to
Yeah.
sing. And that was my kickoff into my songwriting. And
I love that.
I was 25 or 26 at the
Yeah.
time. So,
I
you
love that.
know, it was
Yeah.
scary, but
Yeah.
I
Right.
did
Right. Right.
it.
It's
Yeah.
never too late. That's so funny. My first vocal coach that I stayed with for a while, like stuck with for a while, because I don't have time staying on, staying up with those kinds of things. I had like so much anxiety when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But my first real like vocal coach, she was an opera singer too. She was fantastic.
Yes.
Dr. Lewis, she was amazing. So Dr. Lewis, if you ever end up listening to this, I love you. I miss you. You're amazing.
And
And I
my
hope to
teacher
see you
was
again.
Penelope Hawkins.
Penelope,
Yeah.
Penelope
Penelope
Hawkins.
Hawkins. Yeah.
So Dr. Beverly Lewis and Penelope Hawkins, you are instrumental in our lives. So thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then, so the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is we set up, the really cool thing about Buzzsprout is you can set up a support option. So if you're
Nice.
loving
Yeah.
what you're hearing and you want to support us, we would love it. I mean, we love the support, just from listening. But if you do feel the desire to support us financially, we have a subscription option where you can start as low as like $3 a month. I think the
Yeah.
highest is like $10 a month.
$10. Yeah.
That would just help us with the things like, the time it takes to edit, which is
Mhm.
what, I edited afterwards. We're both just producing this ourselves. And
Yep.
so we'd love the support. I mean, no worries, no pressure, no anything, just letting you know it's there. So if you go to the creativedownloadpodcast.com, you'll see a little button that says subscribe. Super easy, cancel anytime, no commitment. So
Yes.
just
Yes.
wanted to throw that out there. Before we jump into our theme here, Christy, what have you been listening to this week, or what have you noticed, creatively?
Well, I'm writing songs with my co-writers right now. We just are working on two new songs. But one of the things that George, our co-writers, recommended was watching Andrea Stoppel. I think her name's Stoppel. She's a
That sounds
songwriter.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. And she has like a 2-hour course. And it was really
Ooh.
cool because in the beginning of the course, it's free, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm always learning as a songwriter. I think,
Yeah.
and I do believe with songwriting, I can do that the rest of my life. And I
Mhm.
will always be growing as a songwriter. I just think it's just
100%.
never ending.
Yep.
So I'm always learning.
Yeah.
So anyways, the first part, I mean, it's like the first like 10 or 15 minutes, she's like, really look at like what is it that you like about songs, all the favorite songs that you can think of when you hear a song and you're like, oh, I love that song. Like
Yeah.
what is it? Like really think about it. Is it the groove? Is it the rhythm? Is it that? So she gives you this assignment, and so I went and made this playlist of all these like songs I love, and I realized like, well, it's probably because I was a dancer. I know I have to. I love the drums and the bass, like
Oh my
anything
gosh,
like
so
drum and
much.
rhythmic, right? And so
Yes.
one of the singers I like listen to a lot right now, her name's Noga Erez, and she's an Israeli singer-songwriter. And I don't want to mess up her co-writers. It's Ori Russo and Ron Jakovitz, and
Okay.
they are amazing with what I'm talking about with rhythm.
That's
So
awesome.
like just her vocals, the way she delivers, it's not really quite hip hop, but it has a little bit of those elements
Okay.
right in your face, very raw, great sound, very authentic. So
Yeah.
anyways, she's been my favorite. I have a few of her songs. The Vandalist is my
The
favorite
Vandalist. I'll have to
song.
listen to her. That sounds
Mhm.
awesome. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I like, and I I was a wannabe dancer. I was not very good at it because I was a gymnast. So I'm very like stiff
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
those motions, but I love rhythm and drums and
Yeah.
the
Well,
bass. So I
there's
totally
there's
get
that
that.
in gymnastics. There's some dance.
There is, I was always jealous of my teammates because they always got the cool songs and I got the ones that I was like, what? Why? But that, that's trauma for another day.
Yeah.
Um No, that's cool. I'll have to listen to them. For me, let's
Yeah.
see, what have I've been okay. This kind well, this will be perfect because this kind of works into what I'm working on. But what I'm listening to right now is I have a playlist of uh songs that I would like to emulate or use for some reference songs. Again, it's we love going back to that, as an artist, find a reference that, for whatever it is that you may do. So for me, and you, Christy, it's, songwriting, of course. So
Yep.
we like to use other songs as references.
Yeah.
So right now I'm listening to songs that, speaking of drums, that have some really cool drums. And I'm doing what's called active listening. If you haven't heard of that, a lot of people have. So for music, active listening, where you're literally just sitting and listening to the song over and over, and you're listening for different, all kind. I mean, there's a laundry list of things that you can listen for. Right now I'm focusing on the drums and the bass, but the drums in particular, because that's, as a budding music producer, that's probably my weakest area, because I've literally played for fun on drums like once or twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't play the drums to any level,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to teach myself and understand, how do drums work? What do the fills look like? So I'm listening to other songs that I want to emulate so then going into what I'm working on this week. There's a song I have called Happy Ever After.
Oh,
And
okay.
I wrote it back in 2010. Speaking of, I was using a reference song at the time. I had no idea I was actually using a reference song.
Okay,
I didn't know that was
yeah.
a thing, but I was subconsciously doing it. I was like, oh, I really like this
Game
song.
changer. I think
It
it's a
was
game changer
amazing.
in songwriting. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was telling you earlier, that's the song that I really felt like I was like, okay, I'm really proud of this song. So I actually ended up rewriting it, years later, after what all I've learned over the last couple of years. So I'm focused on the drums, that's what I'm focusing on right now with that song. Everything else is pretty much ready to go, but I really want the drums it's a great opportunity to learn more about using drums. So I've been,
Yeah.
again, watching those Logic videos,
Yes.
learning everything, listening to everything I can, and listening specifically, like basically tuning everything else out and listening for the drums. So that was a little bit of a longer explanation, but I'm just really
Yeah.
pumped about it. So I know you said you were working on your songs with your
Yep.
co-writers.
We've got two
So
new songs coming forward,
yay!
which is great. Which I think one of them is Lori just bam had lyrics,
Nice.
and I think she mentioned like just like this is where like co-writing. I just want to talk about like there's co-writing and even reference song and stuff we're talking about. I think partly helps deal with the download a little bit
Yeah.
too, and just having this like mirroring that goes on, because when you're in your creativity all by yourself, which we will, I know we're going to do another episode on just talking completely about community.
Yeah, definitely.
You really, so these two songs, okay, speaking of community, I've learned about a whole new genre. I knew the musicians and the bands, but I didn't know it was called shoegaze.
That's the
And
name. That's the
that's the
genre.
name of the genre,
Oh, I didn't know that
shoegaze.
either.
And
Gaze.
George Slavic, who's our co-writer, he's one of these amazing, like he knows genres. He's just very talented with like the knowledge of music.
That's awesome.
And so we have one song we've already written that's in that genre that I didn't know we were writing.
Cool.
So back to like reference songs. So when a song comes in, like we're having a song come in, Lori had some amazing lyrics come in. And now we're looking at the genre and the reference. And so it's just a whole other way of like doing music that is crazy to me. It's like we're always learning. It's never too late. It's never too late.
That's the thing. It's never too late.
And I'm still walking, and we have our first sponsor of the show. I'm just going to sponsor real quick and talk about it's Headhunter Sunscreen. Now this is my husband's business. Nice. I use this lip balm. It's SPF 30, and this is a face stick. Every day I go on a walk, I have this. Now, my husband's a surfer, and so this is specifically for surf, but also for the beach or outside walks. And they wanted to support our show. Him and his brother started this business in the 1990s. And you can find it on Amazon. It's headhuntersurf.com. And I want to say too, it's never too late. to learn how to surf. I've seen so
Oh,
many,
I'd
I've
love to
seen
do that.
so many people. We help clients when they move here. My husband will give them a free surf lesson.
Oh my
And
God, that's
some of them
awesome.
it sticks, some of it doesn't, but it's
Sure.
never too late to try. He makes it look very easy.
Oh, I
So
bet.
that's a little bit, it's a little bit when you try it anyways.
Yeah,
But yeah, so Headhunter Sunscreen is going to sponsor us for, this episode. And
cool.
yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking, that's a really good, it sounds like it's good and strong so I live here in the mountains where there's a ski resort,
Yes.
and that would be fantastic for, a ski resort or anywhere around the
Yes.
world where there's that, because we're in higher elevation, that kind of thing.
The
So
lip balm and
I may have
face
to get
stick
some of
are
that.
perfect. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and perfect for that. So yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have to get some of that. So what was it?
Headhunter sunscreen. Yep.
Headhuntersunscreen.com.
Yep. It's
Cool.
actually headhuntersurf.com.
Headhuntersurf.com.
And then
But
it's
it's
on
not
if
just for surf.
it's not just for surf. It
Cool.
started specifically for surfers, but
Sure.
now more and more people use it. So it's a niche brand,
Love it.
heavy duty, and but it's also on Amazon too. If
Awesome.
you Google Headhunter sunscreen. Yes.
Perfect. I love it. Yay, our first sponsor. Woo!
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the good stuff. I'm
Yes.
gonna change that phrase. Let's continue on with more good stuff. How about that? Because I love all of this.
Yes.
We've been talking about it, like our theme for today. It's never too late to be living in your creativity. So yeah, we've been talking about, today's theme is it's never too late to pursue your creativity.
Yeah.
And we can't stress that enough, because I know you and I have both, kind of experienced that in our own lives.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to get to share, a little bit, like I said, a little bit of my story with you guys. So what was that? There was a quote from Elizabeth Gilbert, right? In that Big
Yes.
Magic book so Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert, we've definitely referenced it before. We love the book. It may not be for everybody. It's like anything, you take what is good for you. And then, if something else doesn't fit, pass on. Cause some of it was a little bit, over what I would maybe think of spiritually, but there were some really powerful moments in it. And for this episode,
Hmm.
that's kind of where we started kind of retweaking our tagline for the show based on this,
Yes,
right?
yes. And I think this is her quote. It's never too late to be living in your creativity.
Yeah.
That's from Elizabeth Gilbert. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I think we were going to kind of talk about a little bit today too is flipping the script a little bit on like how society tells us, when we're
Yes.
young, right, to go forward. And she has a great, in the beginning of it on page, I think it's on her page 9, she talks about one of her friends who, when you're young, and this goes back into your story. So I'm going to lead you into your story because
Perfect.
I mean, first, I just want to say to become, a diver and the gymnast that you became took an enormous amount of work and
Yeah, it was
energy to
exhausting.
do. And
Yeah.
so what happens, and she talks about this, and I think it's important, and I saw this with my teaching and with songwriting, is that when kids are young, and especially into middle school and they get into teenage years, if you're not showing signs, right, this is society's script. If you're
Yeah.
not showing signs of being like the best and being the
Right.
champion and going to the Olympics or whatever that is, you get kind of pushed aside. And
Yeah.
I'll even say, told like, well, let that go and just go do something that's going to
Right.
support you
Right.
teaching. I'll use mine teaching, right?
Yeah.
And then you can do your music or your dance or whatever on the side. I want to flip the script on that in
Yeah.
this and then say it's never too late to do it. And to not have to go out and get the career that you're doing that you don't necessarily like.
Mm-hmm.
And live in rage and just all the stuff we talked about earlier.
Yes.
And that it's okay to like pursue being a creative and also having a job to support you. But like what Elizabeth Gilbert talks about is how her friend wanted to be an ice skater. And she gave it
Mm-hmm.
up because she wasn't going to be the champion Olympic ice skater. She was probably pushed out of that. And
Yeah.
then later, at like 39, 40 years old, she
Mm-hmm.
decided that's what she really wanted to do. And she went back and took ice skating lessons. Now, she had already done ice skating,
Right. She
just
had a
like you
background
had
of it a little bit.
done gymnastics. I don't think she
Right.
did it to the extent that you did. She would,
Yeah.
and she was there like in the mornings with the 9-year-olds getting started in ice skating, doing ice skating lessons again, because that was what was feeding her soul. And now,
Yeah.
and it wasn't, that became just as important as the
Yeah.
career. And I guess
Yep.
that's the thing I want to flip the script is, especially
Yeah.
for parents that watch this. If you see a child who has whatever it is they're interested in. It could be in
Mm-hmm.
science, it could be in STEM, it could be in music or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Encourage that growth along with other growth in education, because I think that's what
Right.
happens is it gets kind of like your story. So I want to get to your story because your story that we went deeper on when we were talking of
Mm-hmm.
songwriting. Here you were in high school,
Mm-hmm.
just to become a D1 diver
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of work. So here you
Yes.
were like working at all of that,
Yes.
but you had this little budding songwriter showing up
Yep.
that a teacher encouraged to
Yep.
come forward. And then there's this insane moment that happens that we all experienced at some level
Yep.
that really puts you in a purpose situation.
Yes.
And I'd love for you to share that part of your story and then how like it still didn't like set in for you to go
Yeah.
forward. So that's kind of
Yeah.
the setup for it. So yeah, tell us more
Perfect.
about how you wrote that, more about the song you wrote in high school that you
Okay.
shared about before.
I'm so excited to. I'd be happy to. Yeah. So, boy, I feel like it's been such a journey. Which I know all of our lives are. Like that's certainly not unique to me. So, to give just a brief background for you guys that don't know me, I did gymnastics when I was a kid,
Mhm.
and I did it for probably 8 years before I quit, from like 8 to 16, I guess. And I was at an elite level, aiming for the Olympics. Like that was,
Yeah.
that's what you aim for.
Yep.
um but I started dealing with a lot of anxiety and stuff. And it's funny, we've talked about this before. I thought, or I'm sorry, not before, like today,
Hmm.
with the quotes and stuff from Brene. I think my inability to pursue creativity, at least more in my life
Yeah.
at that time, was what was causing a lot of my anxiety. Besides the fact that I had a very intense coach, she was good, she knew her stuff, but she was intense. So there's that. But it taught me a lot. So I'll take that. So I did gymnastics for a long time when I was a kid. My brother played sports. We were
Hmm.
athletes. And shout out to my mom, because she was a single mom supporting I don't know how she did it. She paid for our sports. It was insane. Like
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for her. But the thing about sports is that was kind of ingrained in us, not by my mom, just in general, that okay, that's about the only way that we're going to be able to go to college, because I
Right.
come, from a single family home. And so that was kind of always my thought. Even as a little kid, I was like, okay, I want to go to college someday. And if I'm going to do that, I need a sport. All I could think of was sports, that's the only way that I was going to be able
Yeah.
to do anything.
Yeah,
And
somehow that came to you as the
right?
only option. And I
I know.
think
Isn't
that's
that
part of
crazy?
the flipping the script that I want to do in this conversation that we're having.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is the
Yes.
society puts into this idea. Schools do it. It's like the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
purpose of school is to pass the test, get your test scores up, have this,
Mm-hmm.
be able to put on the website currently that our test scores are up here and this is how many kids are going to college and how many
Yep.
kids are going to Ivy League college. I mean, we can get into all of that, but it starts
Right.
really, really young.
Really
And
young.
the arts are oftentimes the first to go when there's any budget cuts. So
Yep.
it's not supported in our culture, in our country, very much at all. And
Yep.
so yeah, it makes sense to me
Yeah.
why you would think that at a young age.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, and again, I mean, I don't mind sharing my age. I mean, I've gotten over the fact that I'm in my 40s now, but,
That's
I was,
great.
that
Yeah.
was still back, when, yeah, creativity was like, no, arts programs, like everything was getting, shut down. Like that just wasn't what you did. You did sports, or you focused hardcore on academics.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was such a perfectionist that I focused my brain so hard on both that I burnt myself out quite a bit, and often. So that was my background. To then fast forward, when I got into high school, my sophomore year, actually, I didn't even start in my freshman year, springboard diving. So and it's the 1 meter, it's the quote unquote low dive. There's
Hmm.
either, and then other people at the pool, did you go off the high dive? So the high dive is the 3 meter. You don't do that in high school, or at least not in Colorado.
Okay.
And so I decided to take up diving because it fit really well. I was done with gymnastics. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Gosh, even before I got into high school, when I was 10, 11, 12, I was doing like 2 hours a day every day of
Yeah.
the work week, Sunday, Saturday and Sunday I had off or I had a meet.
It's a
So
lot of work.
it
A
was
lot of work.
intense.
Mhm.
And, I had a lot of health issues that we didn't really realize what was going on at the time. So I was tired. I wasn't able to keep up as well as my teammates, so that was really hard. But again, my mom and I didn't, we had no idea that there was other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So then fast forward to high school, diving just looked like a blast. And again, I still had that mindset of, well, I've got to find something that I can get some sort of scholarship for.
Yeah.
And I had the gymnastics background. So I jump, pun intended, into diving. And the gymnastics background launched me into, a level that was,
Yeah.
wasn't just beginner. I had there was a lot of carryover, which was nice. But the funny thing is I didn't make it to state that first year.
Yeah.
I ended up making it to state the next year, and I think I placed eighth, I either placed eighth or fifth. Isn't that funny? I can't remember. And then my senior year, I actually ended up winning the state
Oh,
championship.
okay.
I was the underdog, and I beat the reigning state champion
Wow. Yeah.
and this was 5A, so in high school, that's, the big kind of the biggest, it's like a Division 1, college type thing.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of competition. So I was really proud of that. But all of that took up, all my time. And
Yeah.
I still did gymnastics my freshman year. And then it was after that I quit. So I'm doing these sports. I did track. I did not run. Let's clarify. I did not do the track part. I did the field
Yeah.
part. But again, sports, athletics.
Yeah.
That's what I was focused on. So again, my sophomore year, very impactful year. That was a very interesting year. I did
Yes.
a lot of things. Uh, so sophomore year, we get into the spring semester. Diving was done at this point. And unfortunately, this was back in 1999. And in April of 1999 is when the Columbine shooting happened, which was
Mhm.
kind of like we've talked about. There's been other shootings before that, but this was like a big wake up call for everybody.
Yeah, this was the
Well,
first big one that I think we faced as a
yeah,
country of a
and
reality
realized,
that could now it's unfortunately more common, but
I
it
know
was
it's
not then.
no, it wasn't. This was big, and it was that high school was 30 minutes away from my
Yeah.
high school. So and I'd been in that cafeteria.
Mm.
That's where we did some of our gymnastics meets. Like it was it was insane.
Yeah.
How intense that was, just even just being 30 minutes away, not going to that school, but it just hit us all
Yeah.
really hard. So up to that point, when I had the time and energy, I would actually write poetry. Um, I've loved to sing ever since I was a kid, but oddly enough, I never really correlated my love of singing and at the time performing. It's not so much performing anymore. I never correlated the fact that I could do that and I could write my own stuff,
Right.
you know?
Well, songwriting is really oftentimes very much left out of any kind of
It is. It's so
elementary, middle
interesting.
school, high school
Yeah.
music or art programs. There's a whole
Yes.
separate thing with songwriting that's very different than going into
Yes.
music. I just want to say that. I hope that one day I would love to be a songwriting teacher at
Oh my
a
gosh,
high
wouldn't that be
school. Wouldn't that be so
amazing?
fun?
That'd be
Yeah.
so cool. Even if it was like
Yeah.
an extracurricular class or
Yeah.
something. Um, but yeah, and you know what? I just realized the story I'm going to tell about regarding Columbine, I actually just remembered when I was in sixth grade. Was it sixth grade? It might have been younger than that. I I was a gosh, what's the student council or whatever? I
Yeah.
was trying. I was
ASB Student Council. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to be, the student council president because I thought
Hmm.
again in my head, I'm like, oh well, I've got to be this.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a song about my candidacy. I just remember this, like the music teacher there couldn't have been sixth grade. It was like fifth or fourth.
So
And
authentic. Right.
I wrote it and I was like, oh, and I showed it to him and I was like, can I sing this? So that was probably when I started getting the inkling that I'm like, okay, I like poetry. I like writing, lyrical kinds of things. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. Um, so that was actually the first time that I really got to do anything with it, but it was
Yeah.
such a silly little, I think my mom still has a picture of me holding that old school, mic. Anyways, so in high school, so going back to, I mean, God, it's still like just talking about that tragedy, we won't get into the tragedy side of it, because that's just still brutal. Like, it's still
It
rough.
is. Yeah. I think it's good to acknowledge that, because I
It's
think
really good to acknowledge
we
it.
have
Yeah. For
been
anybody that's dealt with that.
desensitized quite a bit
Oh,
since
that's
on that being
true.
a normal thing, and it's not. It's
That's so
maybe,
true.
maybe it's a big part of why, because arts are taken out of schools. I will just
Talk
say
about rage and
rage and all
yeah.
of
Oh my
that. You're not, but
gosh.
so if you don't fit into the track
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, you got to get into college and you got to do this, and then you don't have support. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to blame. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons
Right.
why kids come, people get addicted,
Yeah.
kill people. I mean, that's not it, but I would say that there is, I was a backup dancer, hip hop dancer in the hip hop Nutcracker here in San Diego
Oh my
a
gosh.
few years ago. Talk about not, it's never too late. I was in my late 40s, and I was
Heck
one of
yeah.
the backup locking, which locking is a 1980s style of hip hop.
But
And
it
I
was
was
cool. I
talking,
liked that. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
locking.
And one of the, and reason I bring this up is one of the dance instructors that was teaching us locking came down from LA, and we were chatting about what happens when dance is offered in schools or in community. And he said significantly in LA, they had done some research that when there were more arts available, more dance studios, arts, a lot of just any of the arts were available, the crime went down significantly.
Wow.
Gang activity went down significantly. So,
Yep.
I mean, that to me is an example of like when we don't have arts in the schools and we don't
Mm-hmm.
support budding songwriters, which even in the arts now doesn't,
Yeah.
then you are left with rage and judgment, grief, and where do you
Sorrow.
fit in into
Yep.
society? So,
Yeah.
it's not, so anyways,
Well, and being able to
continue.
get that out,
Yeah.
it's a thing when that whatever the level of creativity, like, again, I believe that there's creativity in all of us. It just depends on what
Yes. We're born with that. And
we're born with that,
yes.
and it's however you want to express it. And some people are meant to do it on a professional, financially paid level, and some people it's a hobby, but it still has, it has a place. But
The
when you can't express
importance,
yourself,
yes.
yeah.
The importance is the ability to express yourself and know that there's a
Yes.
channel for that. And some cultures still have that, and
Yes.
ours does not have much of it. Our
Right.
culture in America focuses almost, I would say 95, if not higher percent, that you need to be in that professional performance level to be
Yep.
considered creative.
Yep.
You need to be selling your art. You need to be performing on stage and making money. You need to be selling your songs. You need to be a
Yep.
professional dancer. Like, of course, yes, I would love to be on that's like the fantasy to be on the backup dancer on the Grammys. But that doesn't mean I don't go take dance,
Right.
that I
Yeah.
don't perform at a local
That you
level.
go have fun doing it as a
That,
hobby.
so that's the script we're flipping, right?
Hmm.
That's it, that you don't have to wait until you don't give up because you're not going to be professional. A lot of that messaging comes at us in high school and in middle school
Yeah.
and elementary
Yeah.
school, that, well, you're not going to be in the Olympics, so why try? Why
Yeah.
continue
Like,
swimming?
you're
Or
not going to be
why?
good enough. Yeah. So
Yeah.
stop. Yeah. Well, and talk about flipping the script, like, I think the big thing there is we often are told, well, if you want to do, art, if you like somebody, let's say somebody's a a painter or a drawer. Well, if you want to do that, you still need to get a quote unquote good job. So you need to go to college, you need to, go this career path, and then you can do it on the side. Well, what if we flip that, and it's instead
Yes.
of that, it's, what, I am a creative, and I need to get this out. I need to express this to, again, to whatever level and capacity I want,
Yeah.
and I will find a career that supports me in that endeavor.
Or maybe you
That
go work at a job that isn't a career job, but it supports your art,
yes,
or it
well, that's
supports
what I
your path.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it supports you. Well, that's true. Yeah, it supports you can utilize some of your creative skills. I think we talked about that earlier this week. Like, for me specifically, I have a real estate, media company,
Yeah.
because I started realizing, like, ooh, I can incorporate a lot of the things that I do. One of the things that I challenged myself with was when I started doing the video side of things, is every video that I created, I would create the instrumental for it, instead of using something
Right.
like Soundstripe or, whatever. Like, those are great
Yes.
sites. But I was like, "Ooh, what a great opportunity to push myself with my art and get paid for it in a way, because
Yeah,
they're in the videos." And I don't even know if a
exactly.
lot of my agents know that that I've created the music for it.
Exactly.
Um,
That's amazing. Yeah. Perfect
so
example.
yeah, perfect example of, being able to do that. So that's when we're talking about flipping the script, that's the big thing.
But
So
back to your story, because your
yeah,
story of what happens
yeah,
with this song when you're in 10th grade is just
yeah.
magic.
So Columbine happened. I remember that day it was raining, or there was some sort of weather, which to me at the time, all I could think was God's crying at this
Mm.
devastation. And again, I do believe that, God knows everything that's going on, and we don't always understand why he allows things to happen, but I know he was not caught unaware. But my 16-year-old heart was like, God is crying right now. Like the weather, it all just kind of
Yeah.
came together. And so I wrote this song called God Shed a Tear. It actually started as a
What a
poem.
great download. I mean, this
Yeah,
is,
it
yeah,
was an incredible download.
yeah,
And I didn't know what it was at the time, but I couldn't figure out any other way to express what I was feeling. Again, I mean, I'm thankful that I didn't know anybody personally. I knew of some of the people, that were killed.
mm,
Because that, honestly, I was so fragile at the time that probably would have just destroyed me. So I'm thankful that I didn't know personally any of the people.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't make it any less tragic. So don't hear me wrong there. Um, but I couldn't figure, like, so I went home that day just in tears. And I remember the house we were in. I remember the room I was in. And I just started writing. I started doing this poem, God shed a tear tonight, as the rain fell down to the ground. So I started writing this poem, and something told me, take it to my music teacher. I was
yeah.
in choir at the time, and take it to your music teacher. And so I took it to my choir director. She played guitar, and it, and again, this will sound weird because it's over a tragedy, but she lit up when I showed this to her,
Yeah.
and
There's so much
sang her the
healing in
melody.
music.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
so much. And I mean, I'm so drawn to that part of art, or that art, for me, like it's so healing, it's so therapeutic. And so she lit up kind of from a therapeutic standpoint. She grabbed her guitar, started playing along with me to the melody that I had come up with for it. So it started
Mm,
as a poem. I did hear a melody in my head. She started playing guitar to it, and then after, like, when we were done, she said, can I ask, the principal if we have a prom rally on Friday, right? This was like the week before prom. um and I don't yeah, we had prom way early when I was in high school, but she's like, can I ask the principal if you can sing this at the prom
yeah.
rally? And I was blown away. That's not at all why I shared it with her. But I was like, well, yeah. I mean, I sang the national anthem at some of my gymnastic. Actually, all our home gymnastics meets, I sang the national anthem. So I was comfortable with doing that kind of thing. But I'd never shared anything that I created,
Yeah.
let alone for something, a tragic event like this. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Big deal.
absolutely. Part of me thinking, they're not gonna, she came back to me the next day. She's like, you're before the prom rally starts, once everybody's in there, she said, we're starting off with the
And
song.
talk about walking through fear, because there's a
Oh
big
my
part in
gosh.
Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic of, and this is part of when the quantum leaping starts happening. Oh my gosh, you've
Yes.
now put this song together. Somebody is like wanting you to go forward. You're going to sing in front of the school. You're 16. Like this is an
Yeah.
event, right?
And I
This
was
is,
not the cool kid. So, like, I was not only going up against the fear, but it was, and it's not that I was an outcast per se. I just wasn't, I didn't know my place.
yeah.
And again, because I was battling with, am I an artist? Am I a jock? Am I
Yeah. Who
yeah,
everybody at 16
who
is, who
am
am
I?
I?
I know, right? Oh no, it's only me. I'm the only one that
Yeah.
ever dealt with that, right?
I think you do that
So
until you're like 55. And then
I was
even
gonna
maybe
say,
until you're dead. I don't know. Who
right?
am
I
I?
I think it is until we're done with this earth. But excuse me. So yeah, so walking through the fear of that, walking through the fear of, oh my God, I'm gonna be up in front of, all these, and just as a sophomore, I wasn't even a senior. I wasn't even like, I didn't even have like that leadership mentality of, well, I'm the top dog because I'm a senior. So all I could think was, oh my God, what am I doing? Um, Friday comes along, and again, I remember the gymnasium where we were. It was an old school, the microphone sit-ups or system was kind of that old school, like, podium with the mic,
Hmm.
wasn't a fancy sound system or anything. And I remember, so this is important to the story. I remember, I want to say it was maybe like the week before the school had put on the musical that, for that year.
Yeah.
And I was shocked because the gal that got the leading role was a sophomore. She was in my grade,
Yeah.
and she'd never done anything like that before, and I had no idea she could sing and dance and perform. And I remember watching her just in awe, because I was like, you go, girl, like you are amazing. I remember finding her the next day. I was like, Jackie, that was incredible. Like, so I was really touched by her performance and the
Yeah.
power of, her jumping up to do that. So at the rally, we get up there. I think my teacher was even nervous to be performing in front of the school, even though she's a choir director.
Yeah.
So she's sitting there with her guitar. I'm waiting, with my microphone. I have pictures of this. Maybe I'll throw them up on the Instagram just because,
Yeah.
like,
Let's do.
why
Yes.
not? But I was a total jock at the time. Like I had, I was in a t-shirt, my hair's pulled, I wasn't a performer anymore, really. In my mind, I wasn't that childhood performer, I
Yeah.
had put music kind of out of my mind, but it wouldn't leave me alone. So then we get ready for the prom rally. We're waiting for everybody to get in. And then once, basically they figured everybody was in there, they turn off the lights and there's a spotlight on me, which actually was very helpful because I couldn't then really see anybody. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden I was just singing, for myself, for God, for that moment. It actually became very personal.
Yes.
And so I sang. My guitar teacher started playing guitar. I sang. Wasn't very long. I think it's only maybe a minute long, maybe a minute and a half, because it's just a short, sweet
Yeah.
lament, but also, um, and God, I almost tear up at it still, because I remember, stopping singing, and within like 2 seconds, it was dead silent for about 2 seconds. And then the gym erupted in applause, in tears, in hugs. Like people came down off the stands. And I'm not saying the song was, I look at it now and I'm like, well, that's a sweet song for a new songwriter. But that didn't matter. It
It was a
impacted them
purposeful song for
so
so many
powerfully.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had no idea. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, just
Yeah.
because it's like the power of my art and what I had to bring, and I say that because I want to encourage anybody out there, whatever your art is, if you're a painter, whatever, I was able to use my art to help with, maybe vocalize what a lot of my fellow students were probably feeling,
And you know
you
what? I
know.
just want to point out a little bit of how that process happened, because this is where it's also opposite of what we learn in school.
Mhm.
It's not like you sought out to do that. You responded to the
Yeah.
call. So
Yes.
the call was, oh, this horrible event happened.
Hmm.
You sat down, you wrote this poem, and then you heard a voice that said, go take this to my guitar
Hmm.
teacher. And then the guitar teacher was like, this is really good. Let's go and share this. And you just kept saying yes. This wasn't
Hmm.
planned out.
So
That
true.
is the authentic, true creative nature and path that, like, kind of when we talked about clearing the channel.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, sometimes tragedy blows our channels apart, like cracks
Yes.
us open. And that's probably a
Yes.
whole other episode, to get cracked open.
Yes.
And that might be, what the purpose of those gentlemen, those young boys were, to like, hey, wake up, crack open, but to be raw like you were, and then just to
Hmm.
follow that. I wanted to point that out because it's not, that's why I love reflecting
Hmm.
on how you got there,
Yeah.
because it's really about being open. And
Yeah.
it's really being about to listen to that voice. Like you said, that voice
Hmm.
hadn't stopped. That voice was going. So we can't,
Hmm.
that's why we get rageful.
Yeah.
Because if you're going on the path over here that you think you should be on, you
Hmm.
know, and it's not, and you're still feeling rage, and you're still feeling that, like, you're probably blocked off. And for
Hmm.
whatever the part you're supposed to play, and I said this in the last part, and I do believe you were the person to play that role in that moment. Florence Scovel Shinn, in her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, talks about there is a role and a place for you to fill that no one else can fill.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one else can fill it. I think Elizabeth Gilbert talks about sometimes when the universe is trying to get a message to us, or whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it, if it's God for you, universe, or the big mind, I don't know, whatever people believe.
Right.
whoever's going to heed the call is going to do it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so
Yeah.
you did, you like,
Yeah.
oh, there could have been, some other kids in that school
Right.
that were getting the same messaging, but were like
But
not
didn't do
able to
anything
hear
with
the
it.
call
Yeah.
or didn't respond to it. I don't know.
Or
That's
didn't
just
want to listen to it,
didn't want to listen to it. It's too painful,
Yeah.
but you lined up. You
Yep.
aligned up with it
Yep.
and were able to, through music, which is this is what I think art is all about,
Mm-hmm.
to tell the story of an event that happened that impacted other people.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
whether that's in art and that's in dance or that's in a song, and that it was
Mm-hmm.
able to connect other people. Like
Yeah.
that is to me, that expression that you did is to me is art.
Yeah. Well, and then the reason that we kind of were talking about me sharing this story is because,
Yeah.
for numerous reasons, but one of them, going back to our theme for this episode of It's Never Too Late.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, you would think, oh, that would have clicked on a light bulb for me, like, oh, okay, I've got something here. I should pursue this. I still didn't do anything with it after that. Like,
Yeah.
I still focused on my sports. I still focused, that was my, so I focused on diving for the next couple of years. I mean, and it paid off in some ways because like I said, I had the joy of winning state as an underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someday I'll write that story because it'd be a fun story. And then I got a scholarship. Now this was I'm glad that women's sports are getting better and better with scholarships and things like
Yeah.
that. I know it's still weak, but I got offered a partial scholarship, so partial diving scholarship, half of the basically half of everything for
Yeah.
diving for a Division 1 school, and I still didn't get like a full ride like for a
That's
Division
hard to
One.
get. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, and so I got that. The interesting thing though is I ended up having to bail out of college 2 months in, um, because another tragedy struck and it really wrecked me. 9/11, because that was September. When
Yeah.
9/11 happened, I was at the University of New Mexico, and again, talk about a photographic memory. Like I remember the building that I walked into, and I remember the class I was in when they kind of announced it. Like our professor was like, I don't wait, what's going on? So
Yeah.
then that really wrecked me. Plus, I had come down with mono at the beginning of that summer before I started college. And that became a whole other
Yeah. That's hard.
slew of long-term health
Yeah.
issues, that kind of, affected everything I was trying to do. But in a lot of ways, I'm like, man, was I just not listening to the right, to the voice about pursuing creativity and going that route, and
Yeah.
my body was like, my body and my spirit were like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be over here growing in your creativity. So I
Yeah.
withdrew from school 2 months in, felt like a total failure.
Probably the
Was
best decision you made to
Yes.
leave because
Yes.
the freshman high achieving athletes
Oh,
and it's not
yeah.
just athletes,
Yeah.
that the students that are going into their freshman year, I think there was a study a few years ago that was like 80%, and I could be wrong on this, but this is my memory on it. 80% of students that are freshmen that come into Harvard are depressed. And it's
Oh, I believe
because
it.
they've just been working and working and working to get
Yes.
in because they think that's
Yes.
what they have to do. And
Mm-hmm.
like there's a balance that we're missing here in America. It's
Yes.
like a
Big time.
balance that we're missing, right? So
Yeah.
best thing you could have done, in my opinion, is to stop what you were doing.
Well, but,
And
but because of the fact that I mean, I knew before I went that I shouldn't be going, but I didn't listen to that. I was done with diving. I was done with
yeah,
competitive sports. I'm thankful that I was an athlete because it did instill some things in me, but
yeah,
I was done with sports, but I still pushed through because again, going back to the comparison, I thought my brother was a Division 1 football player, University of Colorado. I mean, he nailed it. He was
yeah,
captain, I mean, he was,
big deal. Yeah,
big deal back, when, and so I was 3 years younger than him. So I'm thinking, okay, this is what I need to do. Cause he got a full ride. I'm like, okay, I had a half ride for diving. And then I was able to earn a half for academics, because I had my high academics. Um, but so I withdrew because my health was crappy. I was miserable at diving practice. I wasn't able to do, a lot of the things that I needed to do. I was just done. And I
yeah,
didn't listen to my gut. So,
There's so many people, Chelsea. I just want to say that,
yeah,
myself included. I went on to
yeah,
become a school teacher. That was not what I
right,
wanted to do, but
right,
that was what I was like, okay, I don't know what, that was what I was
right.
told I was going to do. And I think
Hmm.
that's like why you're telling this story too, is that
Hmm.
there's so many of us that go forward and
Hmm.
spend the period of time in our life where our brain development happens and where we are supposed to individuate and find out who we are is between like 16 and 25. And so
Yeah.
that is when we get these moments like you had where you
Hmm.
get like, this is who I am. This is not all of who you are, but a
Right.
part of who you
It was a
are.
part
This
of
is
who
the
I was.
creative part of you that shows up. And
Hmm.
and we don't have that supported. And I don't want to knock, like I think there's many people who are happy going to school in
Absolutely.
college and becoming,
Yeah.
in their athletics. And so this is not a generalization. This is just
Right.
really more or less talking about the balance that and the need for everyone to still have that creative
Hmm.
part of them that's expressed in some way. And
Yes.
that if you did what a lot of us have been trained to do, like your
Hmm.
story is, right?
Hmm.
And you've done all the right things. Like I'm going
Hmm.
to call it all the right things, right?
Right.
You've done
Yeah.
the
I
traditional right
followed
thing.
the path.
It is never too late to then pick up again at any time in
Hmm.
your life and
Hmm.
go back to or do something that calls to you. And I just my so I guess before I say that, I want to ask you, so like at what point after that then
Yeah.
did you then go into music? Because did you
Hmm.
just quit college 2 months in and then just go, oh, I'm a songwriter, I'm going to do music now?
I
No,
know,
that's
right?
not how it probably
Nope.
went. So
Nope.
like, how did you get back into music and where you are right now?
Yeah, and I'll keep this part short. We can, I because this will be fun. I can go into some more detail, down the road with other episodes, but because I know we want to try and wrap up soon, but very long story short, after I withdrew from college and I've dealt with massive depression, anxiety from that because I felt like such a failure, which is what I feel
Yeah.
like society taught at the time.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't quote unquote make it, as a student athlete. So had a lot of health issues through my 20s, dealt with a lot of fatigue. But even through that, I was trying to find my place. I found a church that I really liked at the time. And I had a good friend that was leading worship there. And so I was like, well, maybe I'm supposed to be, helping with leading worship. So I interned with him. He offered me to intern with him. So I did that for like 3 years, which there were some really good things that came out of that. But all the while wondering, well, am I supposed to be a worship leader? Knowing in my gut that that wasn't the direction for me, but
Mm-hmm.
not really listening to, I'm like, well, if I want to be in music, then maybe I'm supposed to go this route.
Mm-hmm.
So again, trying to follow some semblance of, well, this is what makes sense and this is what the world says, whatever that world may be. So tried that for a couple years, just really struggled with that, all the while trying to write. That was a cool thing about interning with my friend Jason. He was fantastic, good dude. Jason, shout out to you if you ever listen to this. You know who you are.
Mm.
um it was cool to see him because he was writing a lot of the worship songs that we were doing at the time. So and then some other stuff too, some side projects. And he was really inspirational to like, why am I not just writing? So he would listen to some of my stuff. Also shout out to you, Jason, for listening to some of those original songs that were
Yeah.
not so good yet, but it was so powerful. But again, I didn't then, I stopped helping with leading worship because I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to move to Nashville. And I'd actually, at this
Mm-hmm.
point, I'd already tried moving there once. That was kind of the first time. And I was like, no, I need to go back to Nashville. I've got to do music. Did not work for so many reasons. Came home and I moved back there another time a couple years later. So this was through my 20s into I'm sorry, this was most of my 20s that this was all taking place. I was trying to figure out who the hell I was. Who was I as an artist? What am I supposed to do with this gifting? And it felt like at the time that everything I was doing, I just felt this like at the time I would really have like conversations with God where I was like, what am I supposed to do? Why did you give me these giftings if I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them? And I never really heard an answer. It was always like it's not yet, and that didn't mean the pursuit of them as far as like just spending time, songwriting and learning my guitar and, a little bit of piano at the time.
But do you
But
think do you
yeah.
think the concept of making it was like overshadowing a lot?
Yep.
And
100%.
because I think that's
So true.
part of our culture too. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if you're not making it,
Mm-hmm.
then
Yep.
then what's the purpose? Like there's kind of
Yeah.
that attitude. And what does that mean to be making it? Like what does it mean? You know what I
Right.
mean? That could be a
Right.
whole, we should just do a whole other episode on what does
Yes.
it mean to be making it? Because I
To be
have a
making it
whole
and
different
successful.
definition of that
Mm-hmm.
now than I did like
Yes.
in my 20s and even 30s when
Yeah.
I was singing here in San Diego,
Yeah.
where up on stage where like Jewel had just left the same
Ah, Jewel.
area. I
Yeah.
never met her. I never got to
Yeah.
see her live. I moved here after her, but she was kind of the buzz here.
Yeah.
And then
Nice.
as I was doing these songwriter showcases, in comes Jason Mraz. Nobody, but before
Yeah.
he was Jason Mraz. And I'm like on these songwriter showcases with them and watching him succeed, which is awesome to
Right.
see
Right.
somebody succeed. But
Yeah.
it's like,
To a
but that's
professional
not all
financial level.
there is
Mm-hmm.
in all of this creativity. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the message. Like when you said that about making it, it's like you go
Yep.
to Nashville and when, there's so much like I wish we learned in high school. I wish they taught in high school how to get to know yourself. Get how to
Right.
get to know who you are and
Right.
having that be more important than making it because
Mm-hmm.
I think when you talk about all the depression, I took a class a couple of actually during COVID, the summer that we
Yeah.
were all in COVID, with the Teachers College of Columbia with Dr. Lisa Miller. She had a
Mm-hmm.
book out called Awakened Awareness, and you made me think of this because
No, nice.
she did a lot of research on brain activity from age 16 to 25. And when we're
Okay.
in that development of our life, our cortex of our brain needs to thicken. And there are things that help to do that, like meditation. She actually brings up church. Like if you have a positive experience with
Right.
religion,
Right.
it could be
If it's
like in
good for you.
nature. I
Yeah.
would even guess if music is your thing, it would be that.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually thickens the brain of the cortex of the
Mm.
brain and is a defense against depression.
Oh
And that the
man.
high number of depression of students in their first couple of years out, in college is actually astronomical
Yeah.
and that it's a crisis and it's a
Yeah.
crisis for our students from affluent areas right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason she even started this course. So if you're a college student or a parent of a college student, I'm going to do this whole PSA right now.
Oh, do it.
And that is that it is extremely important that that colleges right now are being educated on how to help students who are depressed
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't have unfortunately kids who are committing suicide in
Yeah.
college, which is a real issue right now.
It's very, yeah, it's
And
high.
if you have any, like, if you are feeling some of these feelings that, like, you talked about, Chelsea, like, and you want to quit college, but you don't feel like you can because you've been in this track,
Mm-hmm.
go to see a counselor at your
Yes.
college and they
Yes.
will.
Do not
So
hesitate.
the course that I took was about running a 2 month, it's actually 8 weeks, 8 week, yeah, 2 months group on how to teach mindfulness and
Mm.
meditation and to get to know who you are. And
Yes.
and
Oof.
I did this with a therapist friend, partly because my son was 17 and
Mm-hmm.
experiencing quite a bit of the same things you're talking
Yeah.
about, getting to know who he is.
Yeah.
We opted not to push him into college if he didn't want to go. We opted to let
Amazing.
him figure out who he is,
Yes.
and he's taking a gap year. It is
Yes.
amazing how many people, when I say that that's what he's doing and he's happily doing it, um, wow, I wish I would have had that opportunity to get to
Yeah.
know
Oh,
my.
that's not the answer I
That's
was
like,
expecting.
yeah, I was
That's
expecting different
awesome.
answers, but almost
Yeah.
everybody says I did not have any idea who I was at 18.
Yep.
And I wish that I would have had that opportunity. And so
Yep.
we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to like interject that a little bit because you
Yeah.
touched on a lot of things about your youth. And I don't think when we don't know who we are,
Yep.
we can't hear when we don't. We're not
Yeah.
supposed to know who we are, but
Right.
we sometimes need the time and the space
Mm-hmm.
And creativity and a life that when you allow creativity, you allow like walks in nature, you allow some
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness, meditation. Maybe you do join the church, choir or group if
Right.
that fits for you. If it doesn't,
Right.
maybe you do something else, but allows your brain to be able to connect to who you are,
Mm-hmm.
allow that. And there's like all this scientific evidence
Oh
behind
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
MRIs that
For
she did
sure.
on brain activity. And it allows you to have a pause in your life and a moment. It's like that. We don't get that. We're like, nah,
Yeah.
nah, nah. Work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder, work
Yeah.
harder. And it's, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. I also want to point out that what I know about you is that you did go to film school, which
I
I
did.
think is so cool that, we can do another episode. I think we're probably running close to out of time, but like I I think your journey is really amazing to
Thank
where
you.
you are today. And
It's
like
it's
I'm
fun. It's
just
been
so
fun.
impressed
Sort
and
of.
so honored to know you and to have met
Oh,
you in a by
thanks, Christy.
chance, by showing up.
Right? By showing up and saying yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to just kind of wrap up, and I know I said long story short, and it ended up being longer, but to wrap all that up, I went back and forth through my 20s trying to figure out, do I do music? Do I, again, do I quote unquote do music, or do
Yeah.
I pursue so I finally, I mean, it took me 10 years because of my health issues and my mental state to finish my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
I've been to like,
Mine too. Yeah.
I think I went to 6 colleges because I
Yeah.
was just struggling. I switched majors. I was trying to do music, but that wasn't actually the right thing for me, believe it or not, for what
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing. And then it was business. I ended up graduating with my bachelor's in psychology because I did find that was something that was very fascinating to me.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, then there's so much psychology behind creativity, and so I
Yeah.
that's not a surprise to me that that's what I ended up graduating. And the funny thing is, what got me through my undergrad was when I found this film school. At the time, I wanted to go to a Christian film school because I didn't want to be filming, writing, doing things that just went against, kind of my morals. So I thought, this Christian graduate school would be perfect for me. So I went there, had some amazing professors. I think I've talked about it before, where I got myself into a lot of student loan debt, and I wish I'd done things differently. And there are times when I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't gone to school, but I at the same time wouldn't trade it for the professors that I had.
Yeah.
Sean Gaffney, shout out to you. You are amazing. You've had such an impact on my life, and Catherine Gaffney, his wife. You guys have both just, I don't think you realize how much you have impacted Dan and me.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that I did have them, because he was a major mentor for me, helped me kind of get over myself and figure out, like, hey, stop doubting yourself. Like,
Hmm.
so I went to film school thinking, well, I'm super passionate about music, but I'm also super passionate about movies and film and writing. So I was like, well, maybe that's, maybe my creativity, I thought it was music, and I'm actually supposed to go into film. So I went to grad school for film, got my master's. I'm very proud of that because it was a
Yes.
freaking really hard program. I got my master's of fine arts, which means basically that's the highest degree you can get in the program,
Yeah.
in my field, which is screenwriting. But guess what? I didn't move to LA because my husband and I were like, my husband finished his MFA in producing, thinking we're going to be this power couple, we're going to move to LA. But by the time we got done with school, we're like, we can't move to LA. At this point, I was 30 when we got married, and he was 39. So we're not young guns that can go out to LA and be production assistants, and be on call 24 hours a day. We're like, so how the hell are we going to make it in LA? And we just didn't feel like that was the right place for us. But I don't
Yeah.
regret it getting my degree, my grad degree, because all of a sudden it flipped back towards songwriting, and what I learned in grad school about writing and creativity totally helped my songwriting,
Yeah.
because it was all about storytelling in
Oh,
grad school.
and you know what's so fun? It's something I just learned through Jody Friedman,
Yeah.
who does
They're Sync
Elite
Titans, right?
Music and their Sync Titans,
That's
yeah,
right.
in
Yeah. Okay.
LA,
Yeah.
because I'm in that program, is
Yeah.
that, and this is so exciting to me, is that when you're writing, when you're working in the sync world, you're not
Mhm.
actually in the music business. You're in the television and film business
Yeah,
as
sync
songwriters.
music. Yeah, sync
Sync
music. Just
music.
just for a quick reference,
Yeah.
when you're, the music that is actually in film and television. So when you're
Yes,
talking about sync, just
yes.
for our
And so
listeners.
just like how perfect now. So
Yeah.
it takes time to figure, to be following to like be
Mm-hmm.
figuring it out. There's no like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, go to school, finish your, I mean, for
Yeah,
some people, I
exactly.
guess it is, but not for me,
Sometimes. Yeah,
not for
not
you.
certainly not for me.
But like here we are, we're writing our own
Mhm.
TV series and we're both like songwriters and
Mhm.
we're both like have had some early on, and we'll talk about this in another episode, but I've been in television,
Mhm.
thinking
Mhm.
acting because I was kind of pushed in
Yeah.
that direction was the route. It was not
Yeah.
for me what I wanted to do, but
Yeah.
I would try it.
Sure.
And but like the fact that now it's like, oh, like there's a feeling to like, oh, this is it,
It's like
like
settling
it
in.
settles in and you're like,
Yeah.
no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Mhm.
there wasn't like a degree at the time that was going to show
No.
me how to do this. So
Mhm.
it's more or less like having to figure that out, like by living
Yep.
life and clearing the channel and
Mhm.
trying out different things and like sorting through life, taking what you
Mhm.
like, leave the rest, finding out what you like by finding out what you don't like, just
Right.
sifting and sorting, right, through
Yeah.
life. And that part is also a big part of the creative life too. I'm just thinking
Mhm.
about it right now. It's like, oh, because like it's not so, it is sifting and sorting. It is
Mhm.
trying to like let things come through. And so
Mhm.
just, like what we're doing, doing the
Mhm.
podcast became that. It's like, oh, we
Mhm.
need to do a podcast on what we're talking about. That was not
Yes.
planned at
No,
all.
not at all.
And
Especially when
even,
we first met. No,
yeah,
not even close.
and either was our TV series
Right? Who thought
planned
we were going to
because we
just
were
be songwriters?
songwriting. And like then it was like, oh no, this is what came through. So I
Yeah.
think it's just really like cool and I didn't realize Dan had gone to college
Mhm.
for production too. So I'm learning more about you guys as we go. And
Yeah.
so
Well, and and he's I would love to have him on the show at some point, but just to kind of
yeah,
go through like his story and his journey, because I know his journey in the arts is not done. I think sometimes he feels like it is, and I'm holding faith when he doesn't. Because I like I said, he really wants to be an actor, and he's good. Like,
yeah.
with a little bit of coaching, like,
Okay.
just again, lessons and
I
teaching and stuff.
have a story. I have a quick
Yeah,
story for him then. So a friend of mine's mom, when she was in her 70s, she's since passed away. So I'm going to speak a little more. I won't say to
yeah,
her
in
name or
past tense,
whatever,
sure.
but she was an alcoholic all her
Okay.
life. She got sober at like 70, which
Oh
is
my
really
gosh, that's unheard
insane
of.
and it's super cool.
Yeah.
And I remember like talking to her, and she said to me, I've always, and this totally goes with our topic, it's never too late,
Hmm.
because it's never too late to get sober. It's never too late to like help
Yeah.
yourself, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, she said, I've always wanted to be an actor.
Mm.
She's in her 70s, right?
Yeah.
And so next thing I see her, she's like taking acting lessons.
I love
And then
that.
all of a sudden she's in a commercial. I'm like seeing her
Oh
in this
my
commercial.
gosh.
And she lived for like, I think about 5 years. And she lived her life in creativity in those 5 years.
Oh,
And
that's
her
amazing.
body was a little, I think, damaged from
Right.
a
Probably wrecked from
lifetime
the
of
alcohol.
alcohol.
Sure.
However, it didn't stop her.
Mm.
And she became an actress and she was so happy. That was
That's
the thing. She
amazing.
was
That's the thing.
so
Yes.
happy
Yes.
of fulfillment of being
Yes.
able to do that. And she was good,
Yeah.
and she
I
was getting
love that.
cast. So, anyways, it's never too late.
See, again, yeah, and we'll keep with that theme, like it's never too late, because again, I'm 42. I turned 43 this year. It's so
Well,
weird.
I
Is it?
just turned 54 last week. So,
But neither
yeah,
one of us, like, we're
no,
both in our heads, like I think we're still in our 20s, but in a good way. I would never go back to my 20s ever.
no,
But
it's so much better now.
I still feel young though. So,
Well,
and for the
that's because we're open. We're open. Our
exactly.
creative channel's open.
Yeah.
When you are authentically being who you are supposed
Yeah.
to be, you don't feel old. I don't
Well,
feel old.
I know, right? And I'll say this, and this will be my last little snippet. I mean, there's as I'm sitting there telling my story, I'm like, oh, God, I can talk about that and that and
I
that, and
know. We'll have more
and not,
episodes.
and yeah, exactly, and not from like, please hear me, like, y'all who are listening, like, it's not from oh, well, I have this wisdom to impart, and I have this wisdom. It's just my story makes me think of all these things, and I'm like, oh my God, that happened, and then that led to that, and that led to, oh my gosh,
Connecting all those dots.
yeah,
Yeah.
connecting all the dots. But I will say this, talk about reflecting, um thinking back to, if I had, let's say my dream had come true when I was 16, because again, I had been singing and performing, quote unquote, since I was a little kid, just
Yeah.
around my house. But I knew, like, there was something there. I didn't know what it was yet, but I
Mona
knew
would call it the knowing.
the knowing. And
The
at the
knowing.
time,
Yeah.
as a kid, thinking, oh, well, I want to be a singer and a performer, and so I remember, like, or I mean, I'm sorry, so I go back and I reflect on, okay, so let's say that song for Columbine had gotten to the right person, and they're like, wow, you know what, we really love your voice, and we really want to, so let's say, not even to the level by any means of like Taylor Swift or Miley Cyrus, any of those people. Even if I'd had some semblance of success, the my personality and at the time, my need for validation
Mm.
would have destroyed me if I'd had any measurable sort of
Oh, so you
success.
didn't really have a foundation.
I
So
had
like that,
no
so that's like a
foundation.
no foundation
Yes.
of who you are to
Yes.
be able to go forward and to share. So that's a big
Yes.
part
It
of
would have
like,
destroyed me.
yeah,
It would
yeah,
have destroyed me. And I mean, and I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus by any means, but I do look at, like Miley Cyrus. Like, I know, just kind of watching her journey. I watched her, when she was on Disney and Hannah Montana,
yeah.
and then watching her journey, I actually just watched the recap of, I think it was 2024 Grammys, where she's like, it's her first Grammy,
Yeah.
which I didn't know that. But she went through a lot of stuff. I mean, we've seen the videos, where she's
Yeah.
doing stuff on stage. You're like, well, that's a little
I
questionable,
have like my own opinion about any
Yeah.
child that's groomed their entire life
Yes.
because she was
Yes, she
as
was.
have a lot of the
Right.
artists that we see currently
Hmm.
now. Are they really living their true life? Are
Right.
they really living in their true art? Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not because
Well,
they've
and
been
I
conditioned down the like stage mom like
yeah,
route.
exactly.
So it's
You understand that because of when you were
yeah.
little.
See, I'm like the non-complier on all that.
Right.
So I was not going to be that
See, I
kid,
would
but
have I would have been the compliant one,
yeah.
if
Mm-mm.
that had been the route for me. And again, it would have destroyed me because I did not have the foundation that I
Yeah,
now
of who
have,
you are.
of who
Yeah.
I am and what I really want to do and what I'm really created for, So, I reflect back at when I was going through all that. Of course, I'm going, ugh, my health is stopping me from being able to pursue, these things that I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
and all the while it was actually, I think of it as, it was kind of had me in this protective bubble while I was figuring out who in the hell, like, who in the world I was.
Yeah.
I, like you said, I'll always be figuring that out, but there's a solid foundation now. And I truly
Yeah.
believe that I would not have learned that, as a kid. And now I have a ton of things to write about, for one thing,
Yeah.
because when you're 16, I mean, thankfully, most, at least in the US, don't have to deal with a lot of stuff. You don't have anything to write about,
Well,
um
some do,
well,
but I
that's what
don't
I'm
know if
saying, like,
you
some do, but
yeah, but I don't know if it yeah, I mean some
you
do.
know
I know some friends that had by the
oh
time we were 16,
yeah,
we already had stories to
yes, and
share.
that's definitely there, but it's like, I hadn't for me, thankfully I had kind of lived a bit of a sheltered life, and my mom kept me safe from a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. And
Good.
even having a dad that, wasn't around and made bad choices, like, I was still sheltered and protected. I wasn't, so all that to say, I mean, I look at my journey and I'm like, wow, okay. So I have a lot more to write about, for one thing. I have a foundation. I
Mhm.
don't need the validation from other people now, which was, at the time, was causing me to write and sing and perform, or wanting to do those things, but it would have been for myself. Now I genuinely want it to be for other people, which, that's what, again, that's what our podcast is about. Like, we want, art to be shared in a way that uplifts and encourages and inspires or helps, get the emotions out or whatever it may be. So
Mhm.
it's just really cool seeing what all of that has then become for me in my life.
Yeah.
So it's never too late. I did start doing, like I said, took some production coaching with Mike Myers of Songwriting for Guitar. And that was terrifying because I mean, it was a very realistic amount. But it was a commitment financially
Yeah.
because Mike knows his stuff and he should be charging, what he charges.
I
But
love
that
the
was
way he
scary for me.
teaches. He's a
I
great
do
teacher,
too. He's a
guitar
great
teacher.
teacher.
Yeah.
I grew so much from my time with him. Um, but that was scary to commit to that,
Yeah.
with everything because we don't have a lot of money. So I was like, but
Yeah.
it was that important. I knew that I was supposed to get coaching with him. So, and that was it. I started with him when I was 39.
Yeah.
No, I was 40. I had turned 40. And I think
Yeah.
that's January. I was like, okay, it's time. And now I'm learning all these different things that it's like for one thing, I didn't have access to them back when I was trying to do music as a teenager or into my
Yeah.
20s,
So different now.
that
We
we
have a
have
lot.
now. We
Mhm.
have so many, like we can do this podcast
Yeah.
without needing a producer or anything else. It's just so cool. So
Yeah.
I'm just excited for the possibilities. I see now some of why I went through what I went through, that brought me to where I'm at now. So be
Yeah.
encouraged by that wherever you're at in your life, in your journey.
Yeah.
It is never too late to pursue your passion, your art, your creativity to whatever level
Exactly.
you believe in your heart that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So don't give up.
Yeah.
Look at your journey, see where you've been, see where maybe it's taking you. I know we were going to talk about resistance in this amazing book that I read. We were going to talk more about big magic, but I think we'll just wrap this up
Yeah,
with
we should just continue on the next
well, I was
episode
going
and
to
talk about the
say
resistance
yes.
because when the older you get, I think the older you get and you haven't engaged in your creativity and you're
Hmm.
now like, you either blocked off, or maybe you're in a lot of rage and grief and
Right.
judgment and sorrow.
Right.
That's the resistance, right? The
Hmm.
resistance is,
Yes.
and like, I remember like wanting to go back to dance because I quit doing dance. Like,
Hmm.
actually, I quit after high school, after being on a dance team and doing all of that and performance. But
Hmm.
then, like, I would just take like cardio hip hop, like
Hmm.
at like step aerobics or whatever,
Hmm.
just to keep it going.
Hmm.
And then in my 40s, I really wanted to do a dance team again. Like I said, I was in the hip hop
Hmm.
Nutcracker.
Yeah.
I danced on a hip hop dance team where we performed at UCSD and in Pacific Beach. And I horrified my 13-year-old, then 13, 14-year-old, because I'm all dressed in hip hop gear. And I was
I
like
love that.
living my fantasy
I love it.
of being J-Lo, the blonde J-Lo, or
The
the
blonde
blonde
J-Lo.
in living color. And I still take dance classes. I've brought so many of my friends to dance classes who are actually, I will tell you the thing about dance. I think dance is a great channel clearer beginning to
Yeah.
crack that open because if you can find a really good, and we do like cardio hip
Yeah.
hop.
Even if you can't dance like me.
Yeah, you go to the back of the room. I take
Yep.
friends, like we're going to the back of the room, and
Right.
you're just going to dance with the music and
You're
just try
just
to
gonna
keep
move.
up. And it doesn't matter. And I have a
Yep.
number of them who now are regulars
I
there.
love
And it's
that.
now allowed them to have all this other creative stuff show up in their
Yeah.
life. So they're not
Yeah.
going to become dancers,
Right.
but the dancing has helped,
Right.
and speaking of, my boss, who I haven't asked her yet, but I'm going to ask her to be on one of our guests.
Yeah.
She started dancing at, I think, 75, ballroom dancing,
That's so cool.
and competes with Mary Murphy, who is from So You Think You Can Dance. She has a dance studio
Hmm.
here in San Diego, and she is probably one of the most lovely people I've ever met.
Oh, that's cool.
I've performed with her. I've taken dance classes with her.
Oh, I
She
love
is
that.
so much fun. She is one of the best and most patient dance teachers I've ever met.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so I think it's just never too late. It's
Yeah.
never too late. So I would love
Never
to
too late.
hear from you guys if there's anything that you've ever dreamt of or heard that, like, I always wanted to do this. It
Right.
doesn't matter. Maybe it's to maybe it's not arts, maybe it's in science, or maybe it is in sports, or
Yeah.
maybe it is. My mother-in-law ran in the senior Olympics. She was an athlete and wasn't allowed to perform. She was a actress actually, and wasn't, she's the opposite of what you were talking about, and
Oh, how
really was an
funny.
athlete. So you know
Yeah.
what? In her 50s, she ran in the senior Olympics and
Good
she
for
won gold
her.
medals. So yeah, it's never too late.
Well, and my mom, brief, quick example. And, my mom, when she was in her, I want to say it was when she was in her 20s, she just used to make her own clothes. She didn't think anything of
Oh
it.
yeah,
She
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
trying to be a designer or anything, but she made her own clothes. She enjoyed sewing and she liked fabrics and colors, did not think anything of it. And then years later, now she's gotten back into sewing and that's her art,
Yeah,
and she made this blouse the other day. She was so cute because she's like, will you come look at this blouse that I made? And it's beautiful. She did an
yeah,
amazing job, and she's still working on, kind of perfecting parts of it. But I was like, that's amazing.
yeah,
Like I'm so proud of you because she really struggles with perfectionism too, badly.
yeah.
And she and I mean, we're cut from the same cloth in that regard, and she pushed
So
through that.
resistance is perfection is a part of resistance.
Yes.
So let's
Which
do that on our next episode. We'll talk about
yes.
the resistance and how perfectionism gets in the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we'll leave you guys with that because I know for me, like there's a book called let's see, The War of Art.
Art. Yeah.
Stephen Pressfield, I believe, is the author. And I will just say this. So yes, I definitely want to delve into that next episode because it's been a powerful book for me even now. And I will leave you guys on with that book. I will leave you with this note. So he says at the very beginning, he says, most of us have two lives, the life we live and the unlived life within us.
Yes.
Between the two stands resistance with a capital
Yeah.
R.
Oh, how exciting. I can't wait to
Oh,
talk about that.
that hit me between the eyes. And yeah,
Mm.
next episode we'll go into, what he talks about. Like he lists off a bunch of things that I know all of us will relate to, of what resistance is. And he also gives, here's how to fight it, because that's the idea behind his book. What
Yeah.
is resistance and how do you fight back? So
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. So
Yes.
thank you guys. This will be a little bit longer episode, but I'm so thankful to be able to kind of share that story, and I hope it
Yeah.
inspires and encourages some people out there, like Christy said, write us, let us know, like, what is your passion, and yes, there may be limitations, like maybe you can't, go back and be a, Olympic gymnast, but that doesn't mean you can't find something that you can explore.
Yeah.
Like I want to get into indoor rock climbing, and I'm 42 and I've
Oh, yeah. I
only
have a
done it
lot of
once or
friends that have
twice.
started doing that. That's like
Yeah,
a
I
big
want
thing
to
here in San Diego.
yeah,
Hmm.
I want to. There's one literally that opened maybe in 5 minutes from my house. I'm like, okay, there's no excuse.
And you meet yourself where you're at, right? I
Yeah.
haven't tried this yet. You
Hmm.
go in, and I know my
Hmm.
girlfriend she's one of the gals I took to dancing, and that's what she
Yeah.
wanted to do is rock climbing. It's funny you say that. She now has gone through
That's
passing all,
funny.
you go and you take a
Yeah.
course, you take the beginning course,
Yeah.
and then you start
Get
meeting other
certified or
people that are
whatever.
at that
Yeah.
level. And she has a community of rock climbers.
That's
And she,
great.
and now
I
she's
love
like,
that.
she can climb, she does all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah. And seeing
yeah,
and for me, I don't want to go outdoor rock climbing. I have no desire to,
yeah.
pursue it any further than I just think it'd be a good workout and it'd be a fun way, because I don't do heights outside of
Well, you're
a gym like that.
strapped in,
And you're
she
strapped
says. You're
in and you're
strapped in.
harnessed and I feel safe. My husband will
Yeah.
not go do it with me because he does not like heights. Um
Okay.
but yeah, so again, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Don't give up, and message us, write us, just or share on our Facebook page or Instagram. What are you passionate about?
Yep.
What do you lament that you didn't get to do, whether that is art or whether it's a sport or whatever. And maybe, even if you don't have any answers for how you might go about pursuing that, even just getting it down, admitting
Yeah.
it out loud, that can be the first step, so let us know. We'd love to be there with you.
Yeah. Or reflect. Like we've been
Reflect.
doing a lot of reflection in our
Yes.
episodes. So
So huge.
reflect on yourself. If you
Yes.
have, a journal and you're starting to write,
Hmm.
reflect a little bit on like, when were those first moments what were the things that like
Yes.
brought you joy when you were a
Yes.
kid? That was really,
Yeah.
singing was
Yeah.
such a big one
When you're
for
a kid.
me. And
Mhm.
that's when we're so free, is when we're young. You know, what were
Mhm.
those freeing things that you could do that like
Mhm.
we get lost? And there's going to be grief. I'm not going to doubt, you know, there's grief,
100%.
grief in growing up, grief in the
Yep.
loss that we didn't continue, but it doesn't have to stay that way. That's the
Yes.
thing. You can
Yes.
acknowledge like you're going to feel the grief. You might even feel the rage. You might even feel the judgment and the shame. You might
Yeah.
self-shame.
Yeah.
Those are
And
all
that's
going to be probably
okay.
part of this resistance on the next talk, but like,
100%.
but it's okay because deep in there is still that unlived
Mhm.
person that found joy in things when you were young, that,
Mhm.
and it might be you might want to go back. I mean, I can go back to when I'm like 3 years old and remember stuff. A
Mhm.
lot of people can't do that, but
Right.
you know, just do some reflecting and then, you know, let us know. We'd love
Yeah.
to hear from
We'd
you.
love that. Yeah. To whatever detail you want. I will throw this out just for our social, like, again, and I think I said this the last time. Any comments, like, we will go back through, you know, so any comments that are deemed maybe not appropriate or you know, offensive, like, we want to keep this a really safe, healthy
Yes.
environment. So
So we won't
if
respond to those.
we just won't respond to those. Yeah, we're not going to fall into the trap
Yeah.
of the trolls. Like, so
No,
you know,
that's not the
just
place. There's other
and we, yeah,
podcasts to
there's
do
other,
that.
yeah, exactly. And we say that for our listeners that, you know, to encourage you, like, we are not going
Yeah.
to allow for that kind of garbage. So just know it's going to be a safe
Keep
place
it
for you.
clean.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be a safe place for those that do
Yeah.
want to share. Like,
Yeah.
we're your advocates. We're going to try and protect as best we can.
And
So,
some of this may stir some of that rage up in you, or some of
yeah.
the, you know, what we were talking about.
Hmm.
And that's okay. That's
Hmm.
okay. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Let it,
writing about it, talk to a
yeah.
therapist,
Yeah.
you know,
Let it come
mhm,
out, you know. Don't try
in
and stuff it
healthy
down
ways, in
in
healthy.
healthy way. Yeah, in healthy ways. Don't try and stuff it down like I did for a long time, you know, because that just makes everything worse. So all right, cool. Well, you know, quick recap again, you know, it's never too late. Don't give up. Find what you love, you know, reflect, pursue. Again, we talked about the artist way. We highly recommend that.
Big
Big Magic.
magic.
And then if anybody wants to get, you know, the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield,
Yeah, we'll talk about that
we'll
next
be
time.
referencing that. Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that next week. So yeah, and we'll have stuff up on YouTube soon. And just you know, go to our Instagram, Facebook, follow us, follow along. We'd love to have you. And I think that's it for today,
That's
huh,
it.
Christy?
Yeah. Have a
All
good
right.
week, everybody. We'll
All
see
right.
you in episode 4.
Sounds good. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks so much for listening to The Creative Download, hosted and produced by Christy Bruno and Chelsea Nettleton, edited by Chelsea Nettleton.